take a look at some of the lines tonight, some of the basketball games that might have some interest in making some money. Time to talk to Jeff Nadu. He's the host of the Big Man on Basketball podcast at Barstool Sports, and he is brought to you by PropSwap, America's sports betting marketplace. Sell your sports bet and take your profit. Find out how at PropSwap.com or by downloading the PropSwap app today. Let's bring him in. The Big Man on Campus, Barstool Sports, host of Big Man on Basketball. It drops tomorrow at 9. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays is when you can get the pod, and he joins us now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline as we got a lot of great action to get into. What's going on, man? How are you? There we go. You got to unmute yourself.
Sorry, I always forget that. How are you guys? Good to talk to you.
Yeah, man, all is well, all is well. You're looking good over there. We got the old Miss on, the old powder blue.
Yeah, I always like that blue. It really pops with my eyes. You can't see that right now, but yeah, I like this. I like the color, so I try to rock it whenever I can.
All right, we got a lot going on, of course. We're getting into March Madness now. We're starting to get into, what do you think the March Madness tournament is going? Like, how do you think this is all going to look and play out?
It's going to be way different than normal. I mean, usually you have the travel fixed in, but that's not going to be the case this year, Mike. So you're going to have all the teams in one place, which is definitely different. It's a little bit different of a schedule as well. Games are now on Mondays, so it's a little different there. But I think ultimately it's going to be pretty cool. All in one place. We saw the bubble worked out for the NBA, worked pretty swimmingly. So I'm looking forward to it. I've also heard, every month is different, but you're basically a month from now, the tournament will start. Hopefully, maybe they can get some fans in there or something, make it a little bit better. But we didn't have it last year. So I think at this point, if it's in Tajikistan, it doesn't really matter. We're going to watch it.
Who's the coach of Tajikistan?
Coach of Tajik, I don't think they have a team, Mike, to be honest. In that part of the world, I don't think they even have a national team. So I don't know offhand.
Well, I figure if anybody would know if they had a coach, you would know who that guy was. However, but how do you think, like, some teams didn't play? There's been, like, Michigan's been off for a while. I would think Michigan, man, if you were to put odds for national championship, they got to be in the top 4 or 5 right now, right?
Yeah, they're I want to say third. I actually did a clubhouse earlier with a lot of the people that listen to me, and they were asking questions. And there was a kid that asked about that. He had taken a shot with Michigan. He got 10-1, which isn't a great price, but I feel like at this point, maybe it kind of is at this point. 10-1 on a 1 seed. You're obviously not going to get anything special with Baylor or Gonzaga right now. I think that Michigan can play with any team in the country. They can play fast. They can play slow. Their guard play has been terrific. Yeah, I think they're the third best team in the country, and it's not close. They're up there with Gonzaga and Baylor to me.
So I saw something yesterday. I want to get your take on this. I don't remember the exact odds, but I'm going to take like a general guess. It was Gonzaga, Baylor, plus 125, or the field at minus 110.
See, I'm laying 125 with 2 teams, and I'm getting 50 to 60 other teams, and I'm getting a better price. Yeah, I'm going to always take the better price. I just look at Gonzaga and Baylor, and, the NCAA tournament's great, Mike, because it's a one-game thing. You have a game where, shots aren't falling. Can Gonzaga can do that against Pacific, and Baylor can do that against, Kansas State or Texas Tech or somebody or any team in the Big 12. But, in the NCAA tournament, you're getting down to the nitty-gritty when you get into the Elite Eight, into the Final Four. So I'll take the field. I think there's a lot of really good teams in the country right now, Michigan and, all these Tennessees and Villanovas and Alabama. So, yeah, I'll take the field on that.
All right, let's look at a couple of college games tonight. We'll get some NBA thoughts from Jeff as well. Jeff Nadu, Barstool Sports. Check out Big Man on Basketball. The podcast drops tomorrow morning at 9. There's a game coming up in less than an hour. Any action on Jackson State, Texas Southern from you?
Mike, surprisingly enough, this is one of the more interesting games today you'll find. These are the 2 best teams in the SWAC outside of Prairie View A&M. This is a gigantic game. This was a canceled game yesterday due to weather in the Texas and Louisiana areas, Mississippi. Today they play, but there's a big caveat to this game, Mike. Jackson State, best player, Tristan Jarrett, bizarre, weird situation last Monday night. There was a game when ESPNU, they played Southern. He got into an argument with a teammate during a timeout, exited the huddle of the timeout, walked off the court and threw his jersey basically in the middle of the court and walked off. It was a weird, kind of bizarre situation. Wayne Brent, the coach down at Jackson State, doesn't necessarily take that kind of stuff. He mentioned that they dealt with it inside, but I don't know if that means he plays today or not. The line signifying to me that maybe he's going to be out for a period of time, or maybe he doesn't play at all today. So I think Jackson State's a really good basketball team, but when you have a kid like him out, he's a guard. He kind of is the conductor of that team. And Texas Southern's best player is a guard as well. I worry a little bit about that. It's hard to get info on these teams. My gut says that he plays. And if he plays, Jackson State +2 has a lot of value. But there's a big caveat in this game with Jarrett may or may not play or not.
All right. Now, the game that I think you might have a little bit of interest in. I don't know if it's going to be one of your favorite ones on the card. Arkansas, Florida, 7 o'clock tonight, up to 4.5. Over-under is kind of interesting if you want to get into totals on that as well, because you're at 151. So a little SEC, Florida, Arkansas.
Florida continues to be fascinating to me, Mike. I think they have talent. I think they're a good team, but they're just inconsistent this year. When you think that they're going to kind of prove it and look like a really good team, then they slip up and they lose to South Carolina or Mississippi State. It's a weird year for them. My first thought in this game was over the total. I thought it was a bit high, and that's kind of one of the reasons I stayed off it. I think at like 148, 147 and a half, 147, I have interest, but it's into the 150s now. Both these teams want to run. Both these teams have issues defending. They both are very guard-oriented and want to kind of get downhill and score that way. I've watched Arkansas many times this year. This team can't defend. I mean, their individual defenders are bad. I hate their coach. I think Musselman's one of those overrated coaches you'll find. A lot of bark, no real bite there to me. Good recruiter, but I don't think he's a great X and O guy. Arkansas is playing well, though. I lean over. I think it's one of those games that comes down to the wire. I think it's probably first to 80 wins. It seems to me like an 81-75 type of game. I lean over, but it was a little too high for my liking to get really interested.
Now, this is a good one because we have Jeff on live. There's a live game going on right now. Now, Jeff, sometimes you do live videos in game, and right now we have a live game that is actually happening. So people who are listening to this can get a little insight. Northern Illinois is a 2-11 team. They are up 53-50 over Akron, who's 12-4. That second half has just started, and if you want to get some live action on that, you can do that at, of course, wherever you get wherever you bet. But the spread's like 15.5. You got Northern Illinois up 4, getting 15.5 right now.
Yeah, I mean, live line's 4.5 for Akron. This has been a continued issue for Akron. They actually lost to Northern Illinois earlier this year. One of the wins that Northern Illinois has was actually against Akron. But, yeah, I mean, like you said, the second half just started, basically. You still have about 15 minutes to go. So, I mean, I think Akron at 4.5 looks valuable. I mean, Northern Illinois played well so far, but usually in the last 10 minutes, they kind of will fade and dissipate. But, nice game so far for Northern Illinois. Not something that I would really expect out of this game. But, Mike, this is the problem you have with a team like Akron. And when you get towards the end of the season in college basketball, you need to locate teams and understand, are they do they have a shot at an at-large bid? Akron does not have a shot at an at-large bid. So at this point, Akron really has no real basis to care that much about this game at this point. Seeding is important, but this is a game where if they win by 10, who cares? I have no interest and I have no earthly idea why at 2:00 on a Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever today is, why you would want to, I don't even know what day it is, why you would want to lay
Tuesday
16 with a team like Akron. It makes no sense. Now, Mike, I will tell you this. Tonight, you have a very similar situation with LaSalle, St. Louis. Totally different situation. St. Louis is an at-large opportunity. They're a bubble team. They're on the bubble right now and in revenge at home. That is the kind of spot I would lay 16 in against a bad team that beat the team early in the season. St. Louis needs to leave no doubt against bad teams. This is a spot where I would lay points. An Akron matinee game against a bad team that has no bearing on their season, I don't understand this.
All right. So before we jump to a couple NBAs, are there any other college plays on this card tonight that intrigue you?
Yeah, it's a sneaky card, man. There's some interesting spots. Mike, I always look where people aren't looking. Fairleigh Dickinson, St. Francis, Brooklyn. When I see these two teams, and, I'm probably the only person in America outside of 5 or 6 people that will do what I'm about to tell you, but I'm going to tell you because everyone needs to hear it. I don't know where the stops come from in this game. These are two teams, Brooklyn, North Jersey, up and down, New York basketball. A lot of offense, not a lot of defense. You have one strength in Fairleigh Dickinson who can shoot the ball against a team that can't defend the three, and you have a team in St. Francis of Brooklyn who is about as 2-point reliant as you get in transition and in the half court. They're going to attack a defense that just can't guard anybody in the half court. I don't know where the stops come from here, to be real frank with you. I think this could be a 1st and 90 wins. If you know anything about these teams, these are the teams you want to back when you play an over. Good New York basketball, 1st and 90 wins. I'm going to go over the total.
All right, that's for college there, over the total. Let's go quick to the NBA, and it's an interesting card tonight. It's got a lot of options out there. A couple games have been canceled, by the way. That Spurs-Pistons game is one that I'm sure that you would be interested in, but that game has been canceled. So I'm going to go and take a look at – this one's interesting to me because Toronto or Tampa, whatever the heck they are, they've been playing a lot better. They're on the road against this Bucks team, getting 5.5. It's 235.5. I'm kind of intrigued by the Raptors in this one.
Yeah, I was kind of intrigued in them recently as well, and then they go out and lose the other night. I think it was Charlotte or New Orleans or somebody. Toronto continues to be kind of irritating. As far as that game, I don't have much interest. I am looking at a game tomorrow night that I've circled that I'll get to in a second. Tonight, I still Lakers, to be honest with you, Mike. I mean, Minnesota sucks. I mean, I know AD's not going to play, and who knows if, LeBron James will play. I don't know. But even though I still lean Lakers, the Timberwolves are the worst team in the league, in my opinion. This roster sucks. I would still kind of lean with laying the points. I mean, at the end of the day, the Lakers are still way better than the Wolves, even without Davis. And a lot of people, if you look at the money in this game, 80% of the bets are coming in on Minnesota. The public see a guy out. They overvalue it. I'm not saying that AD is not a terrific player, but it's not going to waver on whether I like the Lakers against a team like Minnesota. I still think they're much better than the Timberwolves. They can't defend Minnesota. I'll lean with the best team in the league, and I'll still lay 6.5. Tomorrow, I am zeroing in on a game, Mike, that I don't have often in the NBA. I kind of am a day of gambler, but I am going to grit my teeth and get ready for Sixers Houston tomorrow. The Sixers, awful loss, a game in Ben Simmons at a game of his career probably. And shout out to a colleague of mine who had the absolute gall and nerve. Look, I don't like Ben Simmons, but to call Ben Simmons out that he didn't play well last night, I don't know what the hell she was looking at. Pathetic. It was cringy, and I hope she hears this because she knows better. She shouldn't say stuff like that. She's a good basketball mind. I don't know why she's saying stuff like that. But I love Houston in this game. They've lost 6 in a row, Mike. I've talked before. I love fading teams off road trips, especially a road trip loss. 6-game losing streak for Houston. Nobody wants to back them. The public is going to slam the Sixers here because I'm sure Embiid will be back. The line will get out of hand. When a team goes on the road, Mike, and comes off, let's say 8 or 9 days off, diva NBA players have a lot going on. They got the side piece, the girlfriend, the wife, the kids, the new house, the car, the bills, all that stuff. They're people at the end of the day. I always fade teams off road trips. I will be on Houston, especially because I know the public doesn't want to back Houston right now because they've been so bad lately.
All right, there you go. Jeff Nadu, Barstool Sports host of Big Man on Basketball. So I want to get your opinion. You're a sports guy, too, on top of the gambling. You like the Sixers. You're a Philly guy. We got a guy text in earlier. Would you do Blake Griffin for Tobias Harris?
No.
Okay,
no, I would not.
We're in agreement there.
No, I would not. Frankly, I'm not really sure why I would want Blake Griffin at this point in his career. Tobias Harris actually played well. No, on what planet would anyone do that? I don't know about you guys, but I'm not really sure.
Look, 2 years ago, Griffin shot 36% from three, and I was
Yeah.
impressed at how he evolved his game from lob city to being able to stretch out. He has not been near that player the last 2 years. Now,
Right,
this would
and we
be
have to
purely
remember, Mike,
contractual.
right, and he's been on a bad team. He hasn't played a full season in a long time. I mean, this guy misses a lot of games. You look at the last 3 seasons, Mike. He has played in 2 seasons. He played about 40 games combined. He did have the 175 game season, but yeah, no, absolutely not. No, and look, at the end of the day, the only person I want to move, and again, Mike, it has nothing to do with Ben Simmons. He's a nice kid. He plays hard. But again, if last night is not a definition of what they are, they can't win with both of Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons on the court. What more do you need to see? Last night was a prime example, Mike. Embiid doesn't play. Simmons has a huge game. When Simmons isn't there, Embiid has a huge game. It's never one, right? How long are we going to?
Very infrequently, they both have big nights on the same night.
Let me ask you guys: Can you remember a night where that happened?
No, they do not have big nights on the same night. Very, very infrequently, where they'll both have 30 and 20 or 35 and 18. No, that doesn't happen.
I mean, how many years do we have to go through this before we realize that? I don't get it. We're worrying about trading Tobias Harris. We need to be worried about trading one of those two. And I said at the beginning of the season, and I'll say it now, they will never win anything that matters with those two on the same team. And I've been right this whole time. And we can use Brett Brown as a scapegoat. He was kind of the scapegoat. But this is the issue, nothing else. It's not that I don't like either player. They're both very good players. They're not good together.
He's back on Saturday morning with me. Good card on Saturday. We'll look it over. We'll talk more about the NBA, the college hoops, and everything else that is coming up. He's Jeff Nadu at Jeff Nadu, Barstool Sports. He's the host of Big Man on Basketball. Check it out tomorrow morning at 9. All right, man. You look good.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.